Hi everyone, it's Kim with KTB Creates. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I am so excited today because I am doing a special collaboration with my friend Kat from According to Kat. And we are going to be focusing on doing inspired by DIYs and kind of recreating some higher end looks that you might find in your big box stores that are a little bit too pricey for your price range or for your budget. And we're going to show you how to recreate those at a much lower cost in a price friendly way. So stick around. Let's go on and get into the crafts. DIY number one is an olive tree topiary. I have been wanting one of these for so long, and looking online, they are quite expensive, ranging from $60 to $80. So here I'm going to show you how you can make your own for much less. I had this crock that was actually a shower gift from our wedding. So that's the year we got married. And I purchased these olive tree branches from Amazon. I believe I paid $30 for them. I will link them down in the description box. And then all I'm doing is I'm filling the bottom of the crock with some empty plastic water bottles just to fill it up, fill the space a little bit. And then I'm just adding in there some floral foam to stick your branches in. So I had these branches from just a decor piece that I had. So that's what I'm using, but you could probably use outdoor branches if you don't have something like that. And I simply just took some brown floral tape and I'm taping the actual olive branch stems right to the brown tree branch, I guess you will call it. And I'm just putting that all the way down to the end. Then once I had both pieces wrapped, I'm just taking some Spanish moss. I used a whole bag of this. You could probably get away with using half of it, but I want it to look nice and full. And I just ripped that up and put that all around the top of the crock. I only bought two. The set of the olive branches came in a set of two. So I only bought one. You could buy more. You could buy two if you want it to make it look fuller. But again, that's bringing the price up pretty high. So I wanted to keep it at a low cost. And I thought these branches were the nicest out of what I could find. I am thrilled with the way it looks. I'm very happy with the way it looks. It looks nice and full to me, as an olive tree topiary should. So here is the finished product. I am probably going to end up using this in my bedroom once I do my refresh in there. But I just think it looks darling. I love, love, love it. And like I said, without spending a ton of money on it, you can get something really attractive and pretty like this. So let me know what you think about this one. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about my friend Kat over at According to Kat. You are absolutely going to love her channel. She does everything ranging from farmhouse decor to boho decor to thrift store flips. You name it, she does it. She has an amazing channel. You are going to love it. So when you're done here, make sure you head on over to According to Kat and please let her know that I sent you. DIY number two is an indoor herb garden. So I've wanted to do this for quite some time, and when I started looking online to see how much these were, I was surprised with how pricey they could be. They range anywhere from, I'd say $20 up to like $50. So I actually had this piece that I was trying to figure out what to do with. It was, I got it at Goodwill. It's from the Hearth and Hand collection, and I got it for $3.99. So it fits the mason ball jars on it perfectly. Now these are the wide mouth mason jars, which is really important if you want it to do an herb garden like this, because you need to be able to fit the herbs in there. So you need the wide mouth. all I'm going to do is take a bag of the decorative rock from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to split that up evenly between the 3 mason jars. You do need this gravel in the bottom of the jar. You could probably use sand as well, but you need something that the water can drain into so that the roots of your plant doesn't rot. So then you're going to simply fill the jars with some regular potting soil, and then you're just going to add your herbs. Now I'm planting some oregano, basil, and some parsley. Those are my favorites. I actually picked these up at my local nursery. I want to say they were 97 cents each. They were very inexpensive. Now I wanted to add a decorative piece to them, and obviously something that I can use to differentiate between the different herbs. So I'm just taking these tags that I already had on hand, and I am using some Waverly Antique Wax to stain them. Then I'm also taking some stickers that I had already purchased at Walmart a long time ago, and I am going to use them to mark each tag with the first letter for each herb. So I'm going to do, like I said, I did parsley, oregano, and basil. And then the last part is to thread some twine right through that tag, and you're just going to tie it in the back. And that is it. Very, very easy to do. It looks beautiful. It adds a nice splash of green to any decor. I have this in my windowsill in my kitchen, and it looks perfect, and the herbs are growing like wildfire. DIY number 3 is the home sign wall art. I'm so excited about this piece. I have been eyeing up this sign on Kirkland's for a long time. It's $49.99, and I'm going to recreate it. So I started out with some poster board and Waverly chalk paint in mineral and silver lining. And I decided to go in and really dry brush those 2 colors all over the poster board. Just in a really light feathering motion, back and forth, but you want to make sure that you keep your line fairly straight back and forth. This is what it looks like up close. It was hard to tell as I was doing it. And funny story, when I took this to my parents because I needed help cutting the wood frame for it, my dad actually thought that this was plywood that I had painted. So you would never know by looking at it. It looked amazing. So next we are going to take our poster board and we're going to do some measuring. Now, this might differ. You might want to do your spacing a little bit differently, but I simply marked off an inch all around the edge of the poster board because that's where you're going to want to put your wood frame. Now, if you didn't want to use your wood frame, if you didn't have that, you could just frame the poster board in like rope if you wanted to do that. That's just a different idea. And then I marked it off with my ruler so that I knew where that line was. So then I could then go back in and measure where I'm going to put my letters. So it took me a little bit to figure out how large I should make my letters, and I wanted to make sure they were uniform. So what I did was I measured an inch from your edging piece, and then I made my letters were 11 3/4 inches tall, and then there were 5 3/4 inches across. So that's all I'm doing here is kind of measuring everything out. You'll see I'm using my calculator to do all the math, but that was the end measurement that I came up with. And all I'm doing is going in, once I figured out my measurements, then I am just penciling in the letters so that I have an outline to follow. Now for the O, this took some time for me to figure out. So what I ended up doing was taking a piece of embroidery thread and a pencil. And then I tie that around the pencil, and that's how I'm doing like a perfect circle. I wasn't sure exactly how big I wanted it, and I don't have a bowl or anything round that I could use to measure that, so that was the easiest way I felt I could do it. And that's how I made my O. Now the M in the picture, you want to overlap the M into the O. So just, make sure that you do that. So that's what I'm doing here. And here's what it looks like when it's all penciled in, just so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. And then next you're going to take some of this poly rope that you can find at the Dollar Tree. You need less than 1 pack of this. And then you're simply going to take the rope and you're going to measure all of your penciled letters and cut them. Now the edges of this poly rope will start to like unravel a bit. So I found it helpful to add a little dab of hot glue to the end of the poly rope and just smush that together so that it stays together and it doesn't unravel. So that's all I'm doing here is just measuring. I'm doing 1 letter at a time so I don't get confused with all of it. And then I am going to attach my letters using hot glue. Now you are going to do the O in 1 continuous piece. And then when we get to the M, that's where you're going to cut the poly rope so that you're not overlapping the poly rope from the O. It'll make much more sense once you see me do it. I will also add a little tip to you. If you have these like rubber finger protectors, I did notice as you're hot gluing, sometimes the hot glue like seeps through, whatever project you're working on or doing. If you have these little finger guards, you can kind of like wipe the excess hot glue and like kind of rub it in or kind of take off that excess glue so that it doesn't look so messy. So I found that to be really helpful. So now you'll see I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my letter M, and all of the long pieces are pretty self-explanatory and easy to do. And I will say also, if you have a fine tip hot glue gun, that would be perfect for this project. So you'll see where I cut my pieces for the M. I cut 2 very small pieces so you can glue them and not have to like overlap the O. So for the trim pieces, this was wood that my dad had in his garage. They're 1x1 poplar pieces, and I believe at one point, like he ripped them down to be 1x1s. I'm not sure that you could buy them like that. But anyways, I cut them down just to fit along the poster board. And now I'm just dry fitting everything together to make sure it fits perfectly. And I am going to go ahead and use Gorilla wood glue to glue this together. I didn't use a nail gun or anything else. This Gorilla wood glue holds things really, really well. So that's all I did to hold that piece together. I did let it dry overnight, and then I went ahead and made my own stain with Waverly Elephant chalk paint, and I watered that down because I wanted more of like a gray weathered stain look. So you could obviously stain it, if you wanted it brown or whatever color you want. You could paint it. If you wanted to paint it black, that would look nice too. But this was the look that I was going for. And then to attach your wood frame to your sign, I am using my Gorilla clear glue. And I just applied a generous amount all around the back of the wood frame, and I simply attached it to my sign. I did clamp it and I let it dry overnight. This is how it turned out. I am so excited about this piece. Like I said, I've been eyeing up that piece at Kirkland's for a really long time. And as a DIYer, I'm in my head trying to figure out how I'm going to do it really cheap. I'm so excited with the way it looks. So you guys have to definitely let me know what you think. But I am thrilled. So for the fourth and final DIY, we're going to make a wood beaded rosary. Now I have a collection of beads that I got all over the place, and I'm finally going to put them to good use. Now I used 4 different colors of beads. It's up to you how you want to make your design, but I'm going to tell you the number of beads I used in the shades that I used. So you're going to need 50 beads in the light off-white color. You're going to need 6 in the dark brown color in the larger beads, 3 smaller off-white beads, and then 10 beads I used in a light brown color to create the cross at the bottom. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out first how I'm going to go ahead and make the cross at the bottom. So I decided you're going to just start with the vertical piece of your cross first. So you're going to add those beads, and then you'll see I'm referring to a picture on my phone just to make sure I'm setting up the rosary correctly. Then you'll see what beads I'm using here. So then I'm using the large off-white beads, then 3 dark beads in the middle, then another large off-white bead, and then you go from there. So you can see how I lay it out in the picture. I'm not going to explain exactly how a rosary layout works. You can definitely look it up online. So you could see it's pretty easy here because a decade for the rosary is 10 beads. So you could just put like 10 beads right on at a time, and you're just going to work your way around the whole rosary like that. So once you finish your 5 decades of part of the rosary, that's where you're going to connect the rosary to the light colored beads where that's going to be your cross. So you're going to take your embroidery needle at that dark bead there, and you're going to put it down through all of those beads. This is really hard to explain, but I think you can understand what I'm doing by watching the video, I hope. So then once you start threading that, then you have to tighten the beads so it all kind of comes together, and this is what it'll look like. And then you can continue threading your needle down so that all the beads are threaded and your needle comes out down on the bottom. Okay, so next is the horizontal piece for your cross. So that's going to consist of 4 of these letter colored wood beads. And I'm taking some wire that I purchased at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting that down. On the end, I am just twisting the ends. I'm sorry, my hands went out of frame here, but I'm just going to twist the ends and kind of just like tie it in like a little knot. You can use a pair of pliers to make it nice and tight if you wanted to, but that's how it looks when you're finished. So then you're going to take your metal wire, make sure you have enough leeway to kind of work with it, and you're going to make sure it's tight on one side, and then you're really just going to twist the wire around your embroidery thread, and that's how you're going to get that piece to stay as the cross. And then once you get that all tightened, you're going to then cut your wire off on the end, and again you're going to twist that end into like a little knot so that everything stays in place. So you see that's all I'm doing here. I sped it up because it was a little bit, I think it's self-explanatory. Now you'll see where I made a bit of a boo-boo here, and I'm going to go back in with my wire because I wanted the cross to remain like stiff. I didn't want it to be loose like the rest of it, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm showing you here. So I'm just kind of reinforcing it, I guess would be the word. So I'm going back in with my wire just on the cross part, just to reinforce it. So that's what I'm doing here. And you'll see I just tie another one of those little knots at the end and tighten it with my pliers. Then I just cut the excess wire at the top of the cross, and I just wrapped it around several times around the top, just so it gives that knotted metal look just like it does on the edges, so everything matches. I hope this all makes sense. It's really hard to explain. And then I kind of wanted to dress it up just a little bit. So I took some of this lace ribbon that I had from the Dollar Tree and I just made a tiny little bow and I'm attaching it right in the center. That's very optional, not something you have to do. But like I said, I just wanted to dress it up a little bit. And I think it came out so darling. I love it. And this is just showing you how you can use it as a decorative piece, but it can also be used as an actual rosary as well. So let me know what you think about all these DIYs. I am so happy to be able to share them with you. Definitely make sure after you're done here, click on that subscribe button, tap on that notification bell so that you see all of my new videos, and head on over to According to Kat and check her channel out as well. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful week.